I am the biggest bitch on the face of the planet. You will never meet a pettier, more arrogant human being than me. And it all started when I was 12 years old, when I first started working at my grandparents' Chinese restaurant called Wok Lin. You see, that restaurant only ever had a couple of employees. It had my grandparents, my uncle, and my mom, and they only ever made one mistake in the 30 years that they ran. They invited one idiot into the mix. Me, baby. Most of the time, I was picking up calls or I was operating the drive-thru. And those two jobs, it corrupted me to my very core. You see, for the 30 years that my grandparents' restaurant had been running, we have never once used computers or point-of-sale systems. We did things the old-fashioned way. We'd take your order, we'd write it down, and we'd punch it into a calculator. Anyways, that's not important. The important part is that I could literally make the price whatever I wanted it to be. You see, sometimes I'd be at the drive-thru and I'd be taking an order and I'd think to myself, yeah, this guy's order is $45, but because he has a nice car, I'm going to bring it down to $40. Or for example, like this lady's order is supposed to be $28, but I'm going to round it up to 30 because I don't like the way that her hair looks. Here in this drive-thru, my domain, I am the judge, jury, and executioner. I worked in that drive-thru as a corrupt minimum wage employee for over 6 years. I was more corrupt and more petty than any politician in the entire world. Like if you were doing a phone order with me and I didn't like your tone, or I didn't like the way that you're talking to me, or if you interrupted me just a little bit, or even if I just didn't like your vibe, I would add a $1 or $2 or even $5 fee to your order. In my head, I literally called it an idiot tax. And so you'd see $80 orders get literally turned into $100 orders, and I'd be like, sorry guys, we just changed our prices recently, nothing that I can do about it. But the opposite was also kind of true too. If I liked you a little bit, then I would also bring down the prices. Like hot girls would come to my drive-thru and I'd be like, all right, it's supposed to be $20, but for you baby, I'll make it $19.50. Call me. And they'd be like, thanks. Karens might come in and say, you just lost a loyal customer. My ass. I'll see you here next week in my drive-thru at 6:00 p.m. sharp, because your family is literally addicted to our sweet and sour chicken. You'd have better luck trying to quit cocaine, bitch. Oh yeah, and thanks for giving me $20 in the form of an idiot tax. Idiot! I learned something very important working at that drive-thru. Every restaurant manager's worst fear is a Karen, but every Karen's worst fear is when that restaurant manager is even more evil, petty, and bitchy than the Karen themselves. People like to say power corrupts. I believe it, because in that domain of mine, in that small drive-thru, I was an omnipotent entity. If you were a little rude to me, I'd come swinging down with a $10 idiot tax. But all good things must come to an end. The thing that ended my grandparents' restaurant after 30 years of long and hard labor was a rat. I don't mean that in like a metaphorical or poetic sense, it was a literal rat. Unbeknownst to our entire family, there had been a rat living in our food storage for months, gorging itself like a king. You see, while I lived like a corrupt politician out in the drive-thru, that rat lived like a corrupt emperor in our food storage. My uncle caught a glimpse of that sneaky little bastard slinking around in our kitchen, and we decided to cook up a plan to get rid of it. After a lot of research, we eventually found the beast slayer hidden in our dining room. Its den was hidden behind one of those big restaurant chairs, and my uncle's plan was as follows. We're going to remove those chairs one by one and remove its cover until it has nowhere to hide. Eventually, there will only be one spot in the entire dining room where it can hide, which is a small trash can. And when my uncle removes that small trash can, that rat is going to have nowhere in the entire dining room to hide. And I will be there, holding a broom, ready to smash the little bastard's head open. And the plan went almost perfectly. But at the last step, when my uncle yanked aside the trash can, I was too slow with the broom. I flinched, I hesitated. But I knew that I'd only have one chance to kill it when it was out in the open, so I chased it halfway across the dining room. I remember this very vividly, because I've never once screamed out loud in my entire life. It was like a primal, a very caveman, Aah! And then I smashed the broom down on the rat so hard that the broom head, which was made of plastic, actually snapped in two. And despite that, the rat was actually still alive, but it was still in the middle of its death throes. And it was at this exact moment that a couple of customers walked into our restaurant and saw a rat having a literal seizure on the ground, and two Chinamen raging, surging with adrenaline, and one of them holding a broken broom. And as luck would have it, those customers were the group of customers that I hit with the idiot tax more often than any other group. And in my weakest moment, they took their chance. They got their revenge. If you've ever worked in a restaurant before, you know that Karens love to sling around this phrase, Better Business Bureau. And like they'll say, oh, I don't like this. I'm going to report you to Better Business Bureau. Yeah, all right, man, shut the fuck up. It turns out that Better Business Bureau actually takes rats pretty seriously, and that's the one time that they never play around. They're kind of like the IRS in the sense that you never want to fuck around with the Better Business Bureau. And the sad part is that it was a small town, and if more of the community had come over to back us up, we might have actually had a fighting chance. Apparently the community had enough. My corruption and greed and hitting people with idiot taxes, it finally caught up to me. I want to say that I learned my lesson, but okay, listen. If you've ever hit anybody with an idiot tax or you've used your power to throw your weight around, you know how addicting it is. So that's why I'm doing this YouTube thing, is so that way I can hit more people with idiot taxes, and that way I have more power in the world and throw my weight around a little bit. So please subscribe. Now you might be thinking, wait, why would I subscribe to somebody who literally spent 5 minutes talking about how corrupt and idiotic they are? I don't know, maybe that person has a really nice and charming and charismatic smile. Anyways, that's about it. My name is Tony Tide, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.